What is up, guys? Alex here from First Figures.
And I'm Chuckles.
So, should we talk about the elephant in the room? The fact that we're wearing First Figures tops.
Yeah.
Thanks to our boy Phil
Thank you very much.
sorting that out for us. I think it's the start of a new thing for us to be wearing company clothes. Hopefully that will lead to some cooler designs and what have
More to come.
More to come. But of course, what else do we have?
Something very new.
Something very new. It's
new-ish. Still relatively new.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure. I mean,
Yes.
it's the second in our Tekken line, and
Right.
the first being King.
King.
And this is
Jin.
Kazama, and we've been working on him for a while now.
Yes.
But really happy to be able to show him off now. We have two versions. So a bit about the versions. We have Jin from Tekken 3 here, and we have Jin here from Tekken 5. It's really good to be able to finally show you guys what we've been working on for all these months.
Yeah.
We've had some slight changes to the base. We've got here the regular versions here. If you compare the original footage and the original pictures of the
King's base, the King's regular base. Yeah.
There's been some changes which are not really sort of documented yet.
Yeah.
And when King, which is still in production at the moment, which is going to be ready really sort of
Q1, Q2-ish.
Yeah, next year, probably more like Q1.
Okay.
Depending on Chinese New Year. That's going to be basically have a different. Even though on the pictures it's different, it's actually going to have this base, and that they're all going to have the same base, which is Tekken in Japanese characters there. Now the previous one done for King was in a much more should I say a bit more
more cleaner type of font. This was more of a calligraphy style.
Which is actually the kind of backdrop of the Tekken logo. If you actually look at the Tekken logo, it has these characters, Tekken, and then on it is written Tekken. Over this. So we've removed the Tekken, left the Japanese characters in there, the kanji to basically add a little, just to make it a bit more correct in terms of having that. And I didn't want to totally logo slap it, just have Tekken across it as well. It's probably a bit too much. And that's the reason why I've actually made the base black, but it's matte, and it's with the shiny gloss version on the logo, so you can really, if you're looking for it, really see it.
It's actually showing up pretty nice.
It's showing nice up on the screen. I mean, of course, if you don't look for it, you probably won't see it. So it's just a sort of standard, simple black base in order to. It's a bit more sort of generic.
Right.
But if you look closely, then of course you see the logo because it's in the shiny effect, and therefore it basically catch people's eye if they look for it. So it's a nice little subtle touch. It doesn't take away from the character whatsoever. Now, of course, this is the Tekken range, and King being the first in the series, it all comes with this. The regular version comes with the same base. Consistency. So when we go through the rest of the line in the Tekken range, they're all going to have this. At least for the regular, going to have this style base. So they're going to look great.
It won't be a white base, it won't be a pink base, it'll be...
But no, it's not, it goes beyond just colours, it actually goes just sort of the size of the actual base in order to try and keep it consistent, basically. So that's what I really wanted to have the design for the Tekken range, and because I really envision this to be a multi-character line, lots of different characters to come up. We're certainly working on a lot of characters, we can discuss a bit about that later on.
Even Jin alone as well.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, as you can see right here, there's two versions of him, and we could have gone more. There were so many things that we looked at. There was actually a couple of other ones that we were really considering, but ultimately we went with the sort of staple of Tekken 3 and Tekken 5. Basically, we wanted to work on that. But for sure, it's definitely something that we've been working on for a while, and it's quite exciting to be able to finally show that stuff.
Yes. All right then. So. Anything else you want to add to that?
Why don't we kick off with some questions from the club?
That's right. So, as you guys know, previously we made some posts about asking you your thoughts and questions on Tekken Nightmare. Well, obviously, Soul Calibur Nightmare.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so basically, obviously, in this industry, things chop and change, and you know, obviously some products are brought forward much earlier for pre-orders, so you know, apologise that we couldn't have a documentary post specifically just for Jin, but obviously we took that same questions and just rearranged some of the words so we could actually have this documentary made.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And a lot of them are very, obviously the ones that were very specific to.
Yeah, there's actually there's very good questions which is applicable to this this statue as well. So okay, let's just get on with it.
Sure. Go ahead.
All right, cool. All right, first question from Eric Stegen. How do you determine the sizes?
So the sizes are really something that is. Hey, why don't we, as we did before, let's give him a bit of a turn.
Okay, let's get this spin as well as we start.
Spin that wheel. What do we win?
So, are you happy going this way?
Yeah, that's cool. That's all.
That's about, you know, to take the punch.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, the sizes are actually something that is pretty straightforward. You know, we knew that we were going to go 1/4 scale.
Yeah.
Once I was in the 1/4 scale, we needed to make sure all of them really sort of matched up. So you'll see that King is bigger than Jin when you put them side by side.
Right.
And you know, obviously that's to maintain the sense of size and scale within the actual range. So the size, with King already being the first in the line, it really was quite straightforward to make sure that Jin fitted that range by having that. So you know, in terms of the size, straightforward. Yeah, pretty straightforward.
And we'll have a comparison with King and Jin later on in the video as well. Okay, cool. Right, next question from Josh Mizrahi.
Yeah.
How many pieces in the Tekken series are you guys going to do? Any teasers as to who else will be in the line?
So we're going to go deep. I mean, we're not here to start a range. Certainly, you have something that is quite all-encompassing. We know that a lot of people have different mains.
Yeah.
You know, and with that in mind, for sure, we're already working on you know, Yoshimitsu. We're working on Paul. We're working on you know, Nina. We're working on Anna. You know, there's obviously Law coming up as well. We've already teased him. A lot of stuff coming up, and as we get deeper down the line, for sure, it's going to look great next to each other. All the similarities in say some of the bases for the regular versions will look great. You know, exclusive versions or what have you.
Each and every one have a distinctive base.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But they're distinctive and they're individual, but they look great together, which was always the plan.
Yeah. It should always be like that. Anyway, so yeah.
Of course. So yeah, for sure, we've been working on him for a while. In terms of the you know, the pieces, it's certainly going to go deep.
Okay, cool. Hopefully that should make the Tekken fans happy.
Yeah, especially because you know, you don't want to go one or two and then
that's it. Yeah,
that's not
and it's not just going to be male characters. There will be female characters as well. Because I know a lot of guys are looking forward to some female fighters.
Sure. Yeah, you know, for sure. I mean, you can't go wrong with you know, Nina. You can't go wrong with Anna. So of course, let us know in the comments if there's any other ones that, in particular, that your mate that you say that we've got to redo. Let us know.
Yeah, and especially which series of game as well. I think which. Like Tekken
1, 2, 3, 4. You know, there's a lot of. Obviously, with Tekken 7 coming out as well, you know, some new styles as well. You have 3 and 5 here, so for sure.
Cool. All right then. All right. Next question from Lawrence Guzman. Out of all the Tekken characters, why Jin? Was he just more visually appealing, or due to him being well known?
Sure. Well, what I would say about that is for sure that Jin is the poster boy. It's almost like. You have Ryu from Street Fighter, you have, I don't know, Scorpion or Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat. When you talk about fighting games, if you talk about Tekken, Jin, Heihachi, and
definitely up there.
You know, I'd probably say those two are the most poster boys of the you know, of the series. So you know, it's really straightforward. I mean, of course, Jin, and obviously I would like to do Jin and get him close to the front. Obviously, we had King first, and to follow up with Jin. We believe he's one of the strongest characters, at least in terms of representing the franchise, and it's definitely something that we considered.
Yeah, well, definitely in the comments there's been quite a lot of requests for Jin as well.
Sure.
Yeah, so you know, we know for sure that he's up there.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. And also, he's a personal favorite of mine. That helps a lot. One of my favorites. It's really hard to say. I mean, it's really hard to say. I would probably say my main guy is probably Paul.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to come at me with Paul, Hey, if you want to come at me and I'm poor, mate, you're gonna try that once and you're gonna learn your lesson.
Well, we've been talking about having a live session, gaming session, haven't we? We'll get around to that one day.
You need to get one of those monitors up and set up so we can do some live streaming.
Definitely. Alright, cool. Good question.
But only games that I can beat you at.
Alright then. Just for the live, just for the recordings only, yeah? Okay. Alright again. Next question from Eric Ross.
Yeah.
What was your favourite version of the game to draw inspiration for this design?
So I'm old school. I started with the PlayStation Tekken 3. I played the originals in the arcade, but definitely when I was supposed to be revising for my A levels or revising, I think it was just not actually. I got my PlayStation just after I graduated from high school. So I just finished my A levels. It was during that summer, and many hours, days, if you calculate all the hours, were me and my buddies, we would come over to mine and we would just keep playing. There would be there'd be a lot of winner stays on, ranch, pass me the controller, all that sort of stuff. And Tekken 3 was the one, I think for a lot of people as well, was the one that brought them into the series, into the franchise, and made people lifelong fans. And that certainly was the case for me. Yeah. So when I had the opportunity to work with, Bandai Namco, and I knew that Jin version would absolutely have to have the original version of him. So the Tekken 3 version. And of course, moving forwards onto that, we have the Tekken 5 version here as well. And it's almost like a new generation of console gamers are being able to play it from the PlayStation, PlayStation 3. Yeah. So you have the PlayStation 1 fans, and what the generation difference between us, 10 years or something, isn't it?
I don't know.
Between 1 and 3.
Thereabouts. I mean, let us know in the comments and
correct
us, please.
There's certainly generations of people that would never have played 3, but only played 5 and onwards and what have you.
That's true, yeah.
So it's really good to be able to have that and have them enjoy. Have both eras represented because it's such a long and luscious history in the Tekken range. So it's really good to be able to represent that. But for sure, Tekken 3 is where I'm at. A lot of this sort of stuff is as we grow up, and a lot of our products across the whole range of stuff, it's all about nostalgia, about licenses that have been around for many years.
Because there's going to be like people that prefer the original costume design, and some people prefer the more updated, flashy design.
Of course, and again, it could be a generation thing. It could just be aesthetic reasons, whatever the reason is. It's definitely.
It's like classic Sonic, modern Sonic all over again.
There you go.
There
you go, and that's because it's been around for so long. For some reason.
Yeah, definitely. All right, cool. Question from Bradley Allen Mosier. Who is your favourite Tekken characters?
Oh, I kind of.
We kind of just do, yeah.
Oh well, characters. Generally, yeah.
Characters,
yeah. So I was going to say Paul is probably up there for me. I like Yoshimitsu a lot because there's a crossover between him. He's in Tekken and he's in Soul Calibur. So I have a great love for Soul Calibur as well.
I know that,
yeah. And because so definitely Paul, Yoshimitsu, Law. Well, I think when I first started off with Law.
Everybody starts with Law.
OXO on the thing.
Yeah. The backflip kicks and all that stuff.
All that sort of good stuff. And XX for Law. So those are sort of the reasons. Actually, I found Jim quite hard to master. He had this sort of Shoryuken thing, right, where you do forward and down and quarter.
Just the one that just keeps spinning.
No, not that one.
Not the horizontal spin.
That one.
That one as well. They're just constantly horizontal spinning along.
So that was a 4-hitter one. Up, low, up. And I think my boys took a while for them to get it.
Yeah.
But of course, I would probably say I used to button mash that one all the time.
It was one of those games where
if it ain't broke.
It's just like any beat 'em up game. You start off with button mashing until you actually find the combos.
But then you find one move and then you spam that over and over until then it's on your opponent to learn it.
That's true.
And if they don't learn it, you're just doing it the whole time.
Cool. Alright.
Absolutely.
Alright. Next question from James Reyes. Ooh, just thought of another one. Biggest challenge when designing the Jin statue?
Okay, so the biggest challenge I would probably say was certainly with the Tekken 3 version,
Right.
was how do you take something that is quite, and it's quite a challenge that often faces with a lot of older projects, and that is, how do you take something that is quite old and bring it into something that's more realistic? Because of course, it was so many years ago that the character models, even in the, I'm not just talking about the, you can understand that the actual in-game models are very good. You can understand that, that's a sign of the times. But sometimes you have promotional artwork that is 2D representations, and how, so if you take, for instance, an example would be the Zelda line, for example. How did Ocarina of Time Link look in the game versus the promotional artwork? And of course, the promotional artwork was done by 2D, and when I went to design that statue, it would be based on that 2D artwork. However, Tekken is slightly different. The 2D art, should I say, the sort of nicer, not in-game models were actually done by 3D.
Yeah.
And by
I understand what I mean. I'm thinking about it now, like looking back at the packaging and all that stuff. It's kind of like 3D renders, but it's kind of done in a really back in the days 90s style.
Exactly right.
Exactly.
That is exactly the point. So I couldn't hey, I'm trying to aspire to get the statue to look like the 2D renders like I was doing for Zelda line, because obviously that's what we wanted to aim for. I couldn't, so I didn't have that option. I didn't have the chance to make it like the blocky in-game characters. That didn't make any sense either. But as you said, the renders of the Tekken 3 line certainly is very old school, shall we say. Old school 3D, and again, it wasn't what I wanted to aim for.
That's right.
What I wanted to aim for was actually, and I really sort of helped on it. I looked at the inspiration of from the artwork from Tekken 5, Tekken 6, to look at that, and look at the way that Jin was represented in that. And those 3D, first the 3D models were far superior, the in-game models, and the 3D actual promotional artwork was of course much more modern era. And based off of that, to apply that logic to replicate that in Tekken 3.
So it's kind of like working backwards then, using the current art materials and then
to the future to work backwards.
Yeah.
Back to the future, back to the past. One of those.
Back to the Future license. No, don't tease that. All right, cool, excellent. All right, next questions from Diego Pinto. Wow, we've got quite a lot of questions here. How did you decide on the pose?
Okay. Go one by one.
One by one. Okay. Yeah.
Some might say greedy, but hey, we're not judging.
Well, we did ask for questions, so we didn't say one question, so yeah.
So the pose is really something that is quite, there's a lot of power in the pose, and it's wanted to have it where you can feel the sort of power of the character, but it's a sort of quiet power. You can see that, would you really want to mess with this guy? With someone who is sort of like, he's ready he's ready at any given time. He's not attacking you, but he's like, okay, you want to go? Let's go. And we can, as a result, it's kind of like, you can see he's got this bending knee posture. So you can see there's sort of power in the stance with the wider stance. I mean, you can really sort of tell. If someone's normally standing, you would find that the legs and the shoulders, they're pretty straight. So if you go from the shoulder all the way down to the feet, one line. The wideness of the stance and the bend, the bend in the knees gives a sense of power. And if you couple that off with a sort of rotation in the waist, so it's not just a straight waist, but there's a rotation in the torso, and of course, flexing your biceps, pulling your arm back, it's going to be.
It's just like like a start of each round. Round begins or start.
Absolutely.
Kind of like perfect. You can have that side by side.
Exactly right. So it's very much got the sort of power pose, and if you really want to sort of get into a fight with him, he's ready to go. And so that was what the pose was going to be. And also, it was inspired by some of the art renders that was available.
Well, you can tell he's ready. It's like his veins are popping. there's sweat all over his body.
Well, I mean, why don't you go a bit about the details then? If you're gonna, because absolutely that's something I wanted to talk about. But why don't you go and sort of see the sort of details that you can see?
I mean, hopefully they do show up on the screen, but obviously like around his biceps and around his back and his chest, you can see sweat coming down. So it's very similar to King, where King has like sweat drops as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then obviously you can see some of the veins, down the elbow, biceps. There's like different tones, especially around. Emphasis is on the back and the bicep as well. So yeah.
How about some of the textures that we can see in the
fingernails?
fingernails?
I mean, you can still see the fingernails, the toenails. There's like sweat. We can see the feet are tensing as well. The way you're trying to. When you're getting ready, everything's tense. So it's like kind of like even the patterns on the creases on the trousers as well. You can see that kind of like the molds and the actual carvings of it as well. Very detailed. I mean, like even the trimmings, you can actually see the lines on
those horizontal lines.
Those lines. I mean, even the stitching.
Yeah,
you can see those horizontal. Yeah, exactly, horizontal lines in the stitching as well. Very. We probably have to show some more close-up photos.
Definitely, it's going to be hard to see from the actual things, but you can see stitching going all around the
outer leg and inside leg as well.
Yeah, and also you wanted to see how the seams connect at the moment. You can actually feel like it's slightly raised in order for it to down the stitching of it. Actually along the actual like there's two pieces of cloth there. You can see the double stitching on the one side.
Yeah.
So for, definitely there's a lot of and that's just the clothing and the body but also if you look at the gloves as well, you can see again more sort of stitching and textures all over it basically.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right. So his next question, Diego, is: did you have any control over it, or was it mandatory by the license holder? The pose.
Sure.
If you do not have control over it, why did you decide on the one we will get over and other you might have thought about during the creation process?
Sure. And was it the last one is
was it up to the artist entirely?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So ultimately, we went with the pose, and it was based on, as I said, wanted to get that feeling of attacking, already
ready to fight pose.
And for me, I really gravitated towards this one. I really liked how it looked. I really liked the power that you can get there, because sometimes you don't need to have a massive action pose to get the sense of the power, and you don't have to only be no movement for it to look like it's a museum pose. Right. So a museum pose to me is quite, how should I say it?
It's static. It's very static.
I would say relaxed. There's probably more I would say about a museum pose. I mean, normally a foot up on something like that. But generally, the overall body's not particularly tense. It's just a bit more. Yeah. Don't get me wrong.
Natural, isn't it?
Don't get me wrong. I'm a fan of museum poses as much as others, but it didn't quite fit the
it'd be weird. It's a fighting game. Why would you want an action pose and you want them to?
Well, it doesn't necessarily be action, but it needs to have power.
Yeah,
it needs to have power. And museum poses don't necessarily give. You can get some sort of sense of power, but this is a bit more than a single museum pose. So, I like this pose. So I basically chose it, and the artist works very closely with me in order to.
Any feedback from the license?
Yeah, sure. They have to approve everything as well.
Sure, yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Diego. All right. Next question from Christopher Scott Law. How many times did the statue go back and forth during the approval process?
Okay. So internal approval process, I went back a few times. One was at the 3D stage. There was a lot of, again, it's all about how do you get that pose right. Before his legs were too close together,
right,
and it was a little bit too straight. And I think you need to open it up a bit, get a bit more of that power into it. Before all those sort of subtle things that we talked about was a development process. So the twisting of the torso, adding the stitches, adding all of that sort of stuff. There's a lot of back and forth between you sort of internally working with the artist just to get it how I wanted to see it, basically. Some subtle things that you might actually not notice. For example, tweaking the size of the hands versus the head. There's actually some things you can actually see the hands look quite big. It's actually slightly disproportional to a real human, very slightly, even though we're in that realm of realism. However, very slightly oversized hands to sort of give that sort of extra power, and you can sort of really tell that with it. And that was something that we were doing, trying to go back and forth, slightly reducing the head size, slightly increasing the hand size, the feet size, all these sort of subtle things in order to slightly go just beyond that realism, in order to sort of have that sort of sense of wonder where these characters, that there could be a devil djinn that's around, there could be an ogre, a true ogre, you know, all these sort of different wonderful characters that aren't quite real, but almost could be. And some of that is actually showing through the proportions of the character as well. So that was at the 3D stage.
Yeah,
at
that
the
was
2D
internal,
stage, at the physical stage, it was, I can remember, the first time it was painting, probably the initial paint, he was probably whiter than my top. And I went, no, this guy is from Japan.
Yeah.
He needs to have a more Asian-looking skin tone.
Yeah.
And it was incredibly white before. I was like, no.
You have pictures of those?
Yes,
we should post that in the club.
We can do it under the F4F vault.
Yeah, we can do that.
F4F vault. Yeah, I mean, there was some.
That would be quite amusing.
Yeah. I would say, no, that's not quite right. So definitely there was sort of quite a lot of revisions that we did back and forth on that. You know, some things like his eyes would be looking straight forward instead of across to the side. You know, looking to his left.
Yeah.
You know, some small tweaks like that. That when you take them individually, it doesn't actually make that much of a difference. But if you put them all together, you get the package.
Yeah. So what about back and forth with the licensor?
Oh right, yeah. So of course, you know,
the internal one is like.
Yeah, sure, of course. So when I gave it to Bandai Namco, of course they passed it across to they call it the TEKKEN project, and the team was just because we had quite a different. I mean, they had some comments. I think they had some comments on the hair, a little bit more comments on the hair, some slight tweaking on that. I think the overall shape was a little bit too long before. So we had to reduce before we had the length, the hair was coming a little bit too long. There wasn't anything that I particularly said, oh man, we have to sort of restart or go back to the drawing board.
So it's pretty much a good process then.
Sure. I mean, but I'd like to think at least we are so tough on ourselves at the beginning that when we present something to the licensor, it usually is at a standard that is.
If we're happy with it to submit, then hopefully they'll see it. They'll see it as well.
Hopefully, you know, we're not there to submit something that isn't quite
Jin.
Not even quite Jin, you know, quite what it's supposed to be.
Cool. Alright then, so hopefully that answers your question, Christopher. Next one from Nicholas Jolie. Tell us more about the artist process. Does he go freely with ZBrush using references? Does he draw a model sheet from the references and then goes into a soft like 3ds Max with a low poly? Does he push it until the maximum?
Sure, so that's quite technical questions.
Yeah.
You know, are you an aspiring artist? Hit me up.
3D and 2D.
Yeah, right, we need them all.
Yeah.
Basically, it starts with it really depends on what the character is and what reference and time period we are talking from. Actually, for this one, we didn't get any software sort of stuff from Bandai Namco, but we, you know, did a lot of study basically. And as I said, quite a lot of the things is, I would say it was relatively quite straightforward to make, and I would say that the difficult part would have been the face, of course, and would have been some sort of the stitching and the sort of cloth, sort of costume, technical things. But I mean, a lot of the upper body stuff was really quite straightforward because it was it's quite a human, you know, it's a human.
Anatomy stuff, you know, obviously 2D, 3D guys should be familiar with that anyway.
Yeah, there's that of course. And yes, we actually sort of started with a low poly sort of generic model. And actually we were working with that in order to figure out the twisting of the torso. It was just a generic sort of dummy, kind of mannequin kind of thing, but in 3D. It allows you to kind of, hey, it's got full of bones, so if I move this, what is that going to do to the rest of the legs? And if you pull that down, both legs come down, etc., etc. So there's some sort of degree of real-world physics within those programs that really allow for us to visualize before actually taking it to the next stage.
Sure. Detailed stage.
Sure.
Cool. Right. Was the actual artist a fan of Tekken?
Yeah, definitely.
That helps as well. I think,
Really helps. And what I do, I have a staple of something like 10 artists at any given time, certainly in 3D. And when I start working with artists, the first thing I ask them, do you play games? And usually the answer is yes. It's like, what kind of games do you like to play? Hey, I love to play Nintendo games, fighting games, fantasy games, whatever it may be. And when I choose an artist to work on a certain project, I always bear that in mind.
Yeah, definitely. It helps.
Absolutely.
Makes the whole topic. It's all about communication. If we can communicate the same, if I'm talking about Nintendo and this other guy's talking about Sega, then obviously there's a barrier there. But obviously, upcoming artists and 2D, 3D artists, this to be working together. Obviously, it helps a great deal to know the subject as well.
Of course.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course. Absolutely.
Yes, little hint there, guys. Yeah. Okay then, next guy from Daniel Belonga.
Yep.
What character from Tekken would be the most difficult, biggest challenge to make work as a statue and why?
Oh, well, of course, there's such a range of different characters that...
Let's say the upcoming ones. Which one do you foresee is going to be the toughest one to make?
Well, I've already made them, so I've already done them.
You've made them? That was quick.
Or at least certainly in the physical stage. But, if we just pause the ones that we've already been working on, because one of the sort of ones that I would be a bit cautious to work on is something like True Ogre. I mean, the size of him is like 3 times the size of Jin. It's like one of these ginormous monsters. But he's not on all of the Tekken. He's not quite a main character. You could probably still say the same thing for Devil Jin. He's a really big fan favorite as well. But I would quite like to do that. I mean, to be honest with you, it wouldn't be too difficult. What would be difficult is the fact he has these amazing wings, and those wings would be quite fragile from a production point of view rather than an artistic point of view.
Right.
But definitely, that would be something. I would say true form true ogre. Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
I would say true ogre would be the biggest thing there.
Yeah, definitely. Right, cool. Miranda Sykes.
Big up Miranda, one of our resident admins.
Right, yeah. Were you concerned about making this figure with all his potential fragile parts? Are there any particular design strategies to mitigate this when it comes to polystone and fragile details?
Fragile parts would be the belt and the hair. Now the belt is only applicable to...
well, there's a little bit of drawstring.
Drawstring as well. Sure. Yeah. Once we go to the production side of things, we will sort of look a bit more closely into that. Yeah. But definitely one of the things that we've worked on, this isn't certainly... Why you just want to...
Just stop this.
Yeah.
There you go.
Would you mind?
Yes. So obviously with everything we do, we always try and look from the engineering side of point of view, and obviously one of the features we're concerned about is the belt. And obviously we made this as a magnetic feature, so it should be straightforward to put in and out. So you can just sucks in there, right there. Really simple.
Yeah. And when we do the engineering for the polystyrene for the production, we would just make sure that there was no pressure on the hair.
Piece as well.
We need to look into that whether or not to make that.
Should be relatively simple.
Yeah.
There's not many detachable parts. Just the belt itself.
Correct.
Alright.
Cool.
Excellent. Alright, 2 more questions left. One from Brandon Birkett. When deciding which gin to choose from, how do you figure which one is best to do, based on details, ease of sculpt, or just what's approved?
Yeah, I think I sort of touched up on that one earlier. So it all ranged from, because of being a fan of Tekken 3 and having Tekken 5 references to work with in order to obviously make the best Tekken 5 character that we could make of Jin, and apply that logic to Tekken 3 version. Those are really the sort of main points for that. That was quite straightforward.
Because at the start of the video, we did mention there was quite a few variations of Jin.
Sure.
And then we had to narrow it down to...
Yeah, so we actually made prototypes of Tekken Tag Tournament version, so that's the same as Tekken 3 version, but with the blue
blue-green, aqua kind of...
Yeah, that's right. And the blue gloves and what have you, and Tekken F5 Dark Resurrection, which is the style, but it's all in red. So it's very similar in terms of Tekken 3. So you have the small reds and oranges and red gloves. Maybe one for the F4F Fold.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Or maybe a few prototype samples we could raffle away sometime in the future.
We actually sat down and actually had a really long chat about this. While we took those ideas down to these two.
Sure. Yeah, it's good to have choice.
Yeah. All right, excellent. Okay, last but not least, Leo Silvilla. Were you able to speak with the developers and collaborate with them on the presentation? If so, do you ever receive model or texture data or any kind of graphical representation for your piece?
Well, the answer to that is no, we did not have any direct contact. It's always by the licensing team, but wherever we were sort of asked for certain, we certainly got sort of references. They weren't 3D, but they were certainly references and stuff that you can put off the internet and just sort of by playing the game yourself and what have you.
A lot of research down to ourselves.
But a lot of that is, I mean, that's pretty.
It's standard. We do that for every single statue we make anyway.
Pretty much.
Yeah. All right. Wow. A lot of questions for this one, actually. A lot of deep thoughts.
Right.
Shout out times. Alright. It's all yours. It's always been you.
But sharing is caring.
No, it's all yours. Let's not break the rules. Let's not break the pattern.
Shout out to Michael Berger. What is up? Shout out to Kevin Kelly. That's a new name.
That's a new name, yeah.
Big up, mate. Thanks very much for joining. Davo Ilias. Thanks very much. Shout out. James O'Connor. What is going on? Steve Denelsbeck. What is going on? Let us know what you think of Jin. Hope you like him.
That's a new name as well.
That's a new name.
Welcome to the club.
Daniel Freed. That's a new name as well. What is up? Shout out. Lindsay Berg. Thanks very much for writing. Shout out. Big up to Jerome Kiryu. What is your real last name? Shout out to Victor T. Zakaj. What is going on? Shout out. Last but not least, Andrew Bodnar. What is going on? Big up, shout out.
Hey guys, sorry if we couldn't mention your name, but obviously,
you snooze, you lose.
That's right. Yes. There's always going to be plenty of chances for.
Why don't you just quickly have a quick conversation about where the shout-outs come out from and where you snooze, you lose.
So basically, if you're in the Collectors Club, every so often we'll make a post and ask for questions. Like we'll just say, hey guys, we're going to make a video soon or this week, and then we'll ask if we give you plenty of time, like previously, we would actually say the name of the actual statue as well. So if you have a favorite statue, let's say Jin, then we'll make a post and then you ask whatever questions you want. And then somewhere along the comments, we will make another post and say, hey, the first 10 guys to reply to this comment will get shout outs.
Absolutely.
So you got to keep your eyes on the post constantly. Just set your notifications on in the Collectors Club so you won't miss any posts.
Right.
There you go. Yep.
Exclusive, should we do it?
Is it exclusive first? Yeah. We've seen enough regular for now.
Yeah. Alright, sweet. Alright, now we're going to go show the exclusive version.
Actually, shall we take one off and then they can see what it looks like, the regular base? Alright.
What do you mean?
We need to take this off to put
it. Alright, sure. So why don't we just start, why don't we take it off with...
we'll put this on the exclusive base.
Okay, then, so just move him over there.
Okay.
So I'll put him over here for now.
Okay.
As you're doing that, just put him here. Oh, maybe that.
Sure.
Yeah, put him there. Okay. I'll take you can show the base.
Okay. There you go, guys. Look at that.
There you go, yeah, you can see it.
You can see the matte finish on the base, and then you can actually see the glossy, there you go, glossy text, which says TEKKEN. There you go.
Just have you go with it.
Right, I'll carry this one because.
Alright, you got him, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm going to bring up this bad boy over there. Oh!
It's very heavy.
Oh yeah!
You might want to show the base. There you go, go, guys.
There you go, guys. This is the exclusive base. So I wanted to show this basically. Let's give it a quick. I think we can put them on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
There you go. It's just one peg hole.
I'm gonna straighten out that.
Straight.
There
you go.
Find that sweet spot.
There you go. Vertically inserted downwards.
Alright, sweet. Okay, so we now have the base, and you can really see that it matches with
the king.
The king's base, which
Yeah.
we'll bring that in a
We'll do
little
a
bit
comparison later, yeah.
Comparison later, yeah, sure. So what we have here is from the.
Basically, you can see straight away the difference between the regular and exclusive base.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, there's like a good 2.5, 3 inches difference.
Yeah, not even including
Yeah.
the
Not
other bits on
including the
top.
actual
Yeah,
button
sure.
top. Yeah.
So we took inspiration from the Tiger Dojo, which is, you know, Jin's sort of home. It's his dojo, but it's been absolutely massacred. It's been mashed up, and there's destruction over the dojo, and you can see a lot of Japanese architecture, or sort of Japanese temple kind of feeling as well. So you have the dojo on the floor.
On the floor, yeah.
And you can see the way how he's standing on the actual base itself. You can see the damage just by power. So the base really adds to the power of the pose, because you can see that there's breakages where his feet are. He's landed down. He's sort of come down to that and destroyed some of the dojo as well. And sometimes, if you look at some of these dojos, in the top of the roof, in the sort of wood beams area, they have really beautiful, intricate paint, sort of wood carvings.
Wood carvings, yeah.
And what I wanted to do is really add that in the base. So you can see that that's being added there. And what I would say is shout out to our boys over at Hive Studio. They helped come up with the design, for sure, to give the sort of the general direction for the actual exclusive version. So, you know, shout out to you guys over there. Great job as always. So that is the sort of inspiration behind the base. However, you also see what's going on here. If I just sort of rotate it back this way, so you can see over here. You can see that looks kind of interesting. Or you're walking at me. Well, that is actually Tekken. It's from there's something in Tekken 3. I believe it was introduced there. It was called the Tekken Force Mode, where it was basically you running around as Jin. I believe it was only Jin. Yeah, and you're basically fighting. And a lot of these, we'll call them like, they're sort of like foot soldiers, I would say, in the corporation, in the Zaibutsu, which is the Zaibatsu, I should say, which is the Mishima Zaibatsu, right? And they're like these guys that are sort of protecting Heihachi and what have you. Heihachi is Jin's grandfather, and they don't see eye to eye. So these characters are basically running around you, basically trying to beat them up, and this is one of the helmets from one of the soldiers, the Tekken soldiers. So that is why he's doing here, and it's sort of a bit of a nod towards the Tekken Force mode that has that he's in basically. Yeah. So that's why I wanted to add that little subtle bit of extras on that.
Nice, cool.
Cool. Shall we do some measurements?
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Let's do it. Right.
Stop this first.
Yep. So as always, let's start with let's put it like that. Yeah. Okay. We have them. We'll start over here.
Alright.
That's one.
There you go.
That's two.
Cool. Test. Cool. Can test.
That's three. Are we there yet?
No. Not even to his waist.
Are we there yet? I got to.
It's tilted.
It's tilting.
Yeah, a little bit.
There we go.
Alright,
so
5.
1, 2,
Just
3,
under
4,
5.
5. Just a bit under 5. So there we have the can. And guys, these are 330 ml. So for all our American friends that have them at 350, it will be slightly less.
Yeah. Alright. Actual measurements.
Yeah. So if you want to find that perfect spot, let us know with the click as well where you'll be putting him. So about here.
Exactly 22 inches, which is 56 centimeters height. Yep.
Yep.
And then, wow, this is going to be straightforward. Isn't it? We've got to measure from this, right at the edge of the temple,
Yeah.
to
About
14?
Yeah.
14 inches, which is 36 centimeters.
Yeah.
And from here it's going to be
pretty much the same.
pretty much the same, yeah, because it's more of a square.
Mhm.
When it comes to how the biggest cabinet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. About the same.
About the same, yeah. So whilst you got this, I was quickly bust out one just of the regular version, so people who may have bought the regular
Yes.
want to know what's going on with this. So the height on this bad boy is probably what have we got over here? It's about 18 and a half, 19,
Yeah.
something like that. 19 inches. And then actually just go this way, and it's all the way around, as you were saying. And this is 32 centimeters, 32 and a half, so which is about sort of 12 and a bit inches.
Yeah.
So going all the way around. Just wanted to do that. Right, but of course, the main code contest.
Oh wow, as always. Hope you guys have been keeping track from the previous videos. Actually, we never actually measured how tall this Coke can is.
Well, it's big enough.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Alright. Thank you.
Cool. Why don't we do a comparison size to see how
Yes.
they would look?
I'll grab that. You move that to your
Alright,
side.
sure. Okay, so I'm going to. So we want them head to head, right?
Alright.
So let's have that like that. So hopefully holding doesn't follow because there's going to be a lot of bloody fighting.
Yeah, because the exclusive base is slightly bigger, wider.
You're going to do it separately, or you can do it here. Just make sure they're facing the right way. Alright, try not to completely. Here he comes. Good luck, Troubles. See you on the other side, mate.
You good?
We're good.
Very heavy.
That's heavy. Oh. Turn it around.
Slide that across.
So have them sort of facing away. If you hold this,
Yeah.
I'll turn this. So have them both sort of facing in the same direction. There you go.
Is that right?
Yeah. So you can see again what we're talking about, having them in scale to each other. Now, King's a big boy, and you can see that there is some. Jin looks smaller than King, which is absolutely correct. I think King is listed as 6 foot something,
Yeah.
and Jin is probably a little bit smaller than that. Or he might be 6 foot, he might be 7 foot, or something like that. There's quite a big difference between the size of them in the actual game.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make sure that came across in the actual in the actual thing as well. Yeah. So why don't we have a quick face off? So we're taking him around.
Right. I'm gonna point at you. Like that.
There you telling me to go away? You telling me to get
Am
out?
I actually looking at you? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like that. Pointing at your hair.
You're actually telling me to get out over there. I'll be like, no, mate, let's go. So have a quick turn of that. See how they look next to each other. You can see how the bases sort of match up with each other as well. You can see the difference in the skin tone. You can see the difference in the which represents their ethnicity. You can see the subtle similarities between the sweat on them. They're looking like, and then that's a lovely sort of angle right there. You see that on that? It looks really sweet like that.
Look behind you.
Said, I've had enough of your. It's time to go. As I said, this is the exclusive versions. The regular versions both would come on the black base.
The
You
black
can
base,
see
yeah.
this one as well. So yeah, that's
First time I've seen this side by side.
it looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Really, really good. you know, you see it, you can see it.
Very,
it's looking at it like that.
yeah. And the colours of the vibrant, popping.
The colours need to, as I said, you always got to consider the differences, comparing them together. Skin tone, King is from Mexico, Jin is from Japan. Wanted to, so when we do someone who's, I don't know, like Paul, for instance, it'd be a different skin tone, etc., etc. So everything is sort of more accurate.
Yeah.
So that is it.
Indeed.
Anything you want to mention?
That's it, really. I mean, hopefully there's enough information there for you. If not, there'll be plenty more information in Collectors Club. And as always, when we make these videos, hopefully you learn a thing or two. And that's it. If you've got any more questions, any Tekken related issues, just pop away in the Collectors Club, and then Alex and I will answer to the best we can.
Peace, guys. Thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye.